good morning. I'm here with Bart Meeus, the Senior Manager for Sports EMEA with LiveU. Good morning, Bart.
Good morning. Good morning.
Bart, how are the growing adoption of 5G workflows impacting live sports productions, and which other technologies are enabling change in the way that content is acquired?
I can recall when I was sitting here last year, not at this spot, but in the old location, there was also a question about how remote productions was impacting sports productions. And I'm actually quite happy that the question now evolved or shifted into how 5G productions or 5G technology is impacting productions. Why am I happy? Because of the fact that actually the technology itself is stepping up to the foreground and that it's being recognized as a valuable production method. Mm-hmm. And I think that recognition, together with the fact that we at LiveU, we've put a lot of effort in it, in the sports, because it's a big growing engine. We see that it's really gaining interest, and a lot of sport entities are using 5G. But what is the exact impact? I would say there's a couple of cases where 5G has an impact, and the first case is probably the making fiber and satellite redundant. So that's the first thing, not just for the backup feed, but also for the main feed. The second one, I would say, is fan engagement, as 5G enables our clients to produce more with less budget, so they can get closer to their fans. There's also the VAR Lite aspect. That's probably a less known. We all know the big FIFA and UEFA setups with VAR. That's one thing. But leagues who have less budget, they are using VAR Lite solutions. And VAR Lite is light because the budget is light, and there's no fiber involved. So there we also see a big impact. And I would say the last one is probably cloud, because it's actually an enabler for cloud production. And we see a lot of cloud productions happening. So, and I would say to the second part of your question, that's probably what I would like to answer. That cloud technology is the technology that we're seeing increasing over the last year, both on the production side, but also on the distribution side. Mm-hmm. So we see a lot of sport clients using those technologies. It's maybe good to mention a couple of cases, also from Tier 2, because it's a lot of Tier 2 cloud production now, Tier 3, but it's also even moving into Tier 1. A nice use case, and it's actually more Tier 1, is the European League of Football. European League of Football is kind of the American football, but in Europe then. They started in 2022. They started quite small, and it actually grew in a small amount of time quite big. The first year season was produced locally, very traditional, but they already used our encoders to cut satellite and fiber out. And now in the 2023 season, there's 2 top games. They are still being produced locally and traditional, but on the other hand, the 6 other games, they're being produced in the cloud completely. So we provide our client novel media. We provide them with encoders, 6 sets of 2 encoders, and they are being used to send 8 video signals per game into the cloud directly, and the cloud production is being done at their offices. So I think that are 2 nice use cases of 5G and cloud technology.
Thank you. How is LiveU technology enabling greater fan engagement and monetization, as well as the cost-effective distribution of live sports content?
LiveU is actually enabling their clients, or let's say the right holders, which can be clubs, leagues or federations. We actually enable them to produce more content with less budget. And of course, there's a direct monetization in that, of course, but I think we need to see the bigger picture here. And the bigger picture is, it's maybe unfortunate to say, but sports is money, and money comes from sponsors. And how to attract sponsors is to have a digital and a social visibility. And that, of course, attracts fans. And exactly in that sweet spot, that's where the LiveU technology is at, and where we actually can bring value. I think a nice example of that are football clubs, like Paris Saint-Germain, but we have heaps of football clubs in big leagues, in small leagues in Europe, and they're actually using this to produce more content away from the host broadcasting content, but more exclusive content. That can be their youth tournaments, which weren't broadcasted before. That can be post and pre-match. That can be training ground content. So it's a lot of content that they can create. And together with that, there's also the distribution part. So a lot of content is being distributed in the sports over IP. And there are a couple of solutions for that. We at LiveU have LiveU Matrix. It is an easy, scalable solution. It's web browser based. You can see it as a router in the cloud, so you can send feeds in and you can send feeds out. So that's one solution. And then there's also LiveU Studio, which actually is a cloud production platform, but it can also be used for distribution. So it can send one feed to up to 30 takers. So also that can be used for distribution. A nice use case, I would say, is Volley World, where we actually not only do distribution, but also the productional side or the acquisition side. Since 2 years, we're actually enabling them to do a remote production from Romania with our encoders, decoders, but they're also using LiveU Matrix for the distribution. And they distribute it to, I think it's more than 20 rights holders or takers, and they can also easily add on the fly or last minute additional takers. So.
Okay. We're here the day before IBC exhibition starts. What will people see at your booth? What's the main focus for LiveU at this year's show?
I would say there's a lot of cloud services and cloud solutions, of course. The main, or not the main one, but one of them is LiveU Studio. I think since we acquired EasyLive.io last year, there's been a lot of stuff that happened in that year. One of the things is, of course, the marketing side, right? You have to integrate it in the complete LiveU branding. Then there's a commercial side. Also, a lot of stuff happened there. We had some old EasyLive clients who by offering them a new commercial model, elastic usage-based model, we made that they kept on using it and now are using LiveU Studio. But also new clients, we have a very attractive and competitive offering there. So both on the marketing and the commercial side, there's a lot of stuff happened, but that's of course, I mean, what is important is under the hood. So also our R&D team has put a lot of effort to add new features. A lot of them are added. There's a suite of remote production tools which is embedded now. And I think probably the key thing is that it's completely LRT native. So it can receive feed in LRT and also send out feeds in LRT. LRT is our own patented protocol. And so that is definitely one of the things, LiveU Studio. It's also worth mentioning, because I'm talking about LRT, is that we're format agnostic with LiveU Studio, so it also does other common streaming formats. A second cloud solution is, of course, Matrix, which I don't need to elaborate on because we already touched that. And I think the third one, and that's one which is really gaining more and more traction, is LiveU Ingest. And LiveU Ingest is a product, it's a cloud solution, and it's all about telling stories, adding metadata, making sure feeds are recorded. And there's also the integration with PAM systems, with NRCS systems. And we're actually, in this show, there's more integrations, and that we're gonna show. So that is one thing. And we see LiveU Ingest in more and more installations worldwide because we introduced it last year. So we see that there's also quite an increase, and it's in a lot of fixed broadcast stations, but it can also be used on an event base. So, and I think with these three solutions, and there's more solutions, but I think we have a limited amount of time. But I would say, I think we're at a good position to help moving companies into the cloud. So I would say pass by at the booth for more demos and more cloud stuff.
Bart, thank you very much. Have a great day today here at Sport Production
you.
Summit and have a great IBC.
I will.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.